Hello, CinSanity, and welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today we have the one and only Gregg Ritz on. Gregg is in the middle of rebuilding Thompson Center, and he is doing it based on the Thompson Center legacy. We learned a lot of interesting information we didn't know before about guns in general, but more importantly, Thompson Center. They have a lot of cool things in the work, and if any of you know Gregg, you also know he is a big-time hunter, steward of the land, has his own property. We touch on some land management stuff, some turkey stuff, and more. So what do you say we get this thing started?
All right, Gregg, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so what's been going on in your world? I know you've been busy with Thompson Center and kind of, I don't know if you want to call it the rebuild or what are you calling it?
Yeah, well, I guess it is a rebuild, relaunch, rebirth. You know, a lot of people remember back in the day, I was with Thompson Center for 12, 13 years, and then Smith & Wesson purchased Thompson Center, and I spent a couple years as president of their hunting division. And when my contract renewal came up, they wanted me to move to Springfield, Massachusetts. And that just wasn't going to work for myself and my family. So I started Wildcom, outdoor marketing and media company. And I stayed connected to the brand. But then, the brand eventually went dormant in 2020. And, COVID's peaking and Smith & Wesson could make all the ARs and handguns they wanted. And so buying the brand back in 2024 definitely created a mountain of work. Like I had no idea what we were in for because we didn't have a facility, we didn't have equipment, we didn't have people. Just had this fundamental belief, right, that TC could be resurrected. So that's what the last 2 years have been dedicated to, and obviously chasing some whitetails and some other critters around the planet, in all this free time that I have.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Well, first off, I, for one, am happy you brought Thompson Center back. I've got some Thompson Centers that I love. But when you bought it back, like from the time you took it over to putting guns out or sending guns out to people or distributors, like what was that time frame? Did you have a year and a half? Or?
Yeah, well, it was almost a year on the button. I think we were a couple weeks shy of 1 year when the Encore platform came out. And that was rifle, muzzleloader, and now we're getting ready to have shotgun, handgun, and obviously an expansion of the caliber selection. And it's interesting because, my first hire was our director of engineering, Carl Ricker, who worked for me for 30 years, and his name's on so many of the patents, that Thompson Center had over the years. And, we opened up the facility in Rochester, New Hampshire, just a little rented area, 2,400 square feet when we started, to tap into the legacy of the area. So our old customer service people, our old supply chain managers, and people who worked in the factory and metal finishing, things like that, we wanted to tap into the DNA while we still could, right? Because a lot of these people, they're probably within 10 years of retiring. And, you want to build this young group coming up to 20 and 30 and young 40-year-olds, but you got to teach them what TC was about. And so we started off in rebuilding. Of course, you guys probably remember in August of last year, we acquired Green Mountain Rifle Barrel Company. And it's because Thompson Center has always been known for legendary barrels, shot extremely well. And, to rebuild that infrastructure and the knowledge base would take so long. And fortunately, a lot of the employees who worked for TC went and worked for Green Mountain when Smith & Wesson shut the facility down back in 2010. And a lot of people don't realize Green Mountain's been making barrels for 50 years, but Thompson Center helped start them in business 50 years ago. So, literally, we sold them equipment. We taught them, their engineering team, how to make a quality barrel. So we've had this synergistic relationship all of these years, and it really worked out. And happy to say now, we went from one employee, me, going on just about 2 years ago, and now we have 100 employees and sitting in 77,000 square feet of manufacturing. So it goes to show you dreams can come true.
And you're still hiring because I see the posts occasionally.
People ask, where's this, where's that? And I'm like, if I could hire qualified people faster, we could move faster, but it's tough in today's labor market.
Yeah. Dude, nobody wants to work hard anymore.
No. It's
bad.
But you know, when you find that person, right, that you know is a superstar and is passionate, and we have some really, really talented young up and comers. I'm being people in like their late 20s, early 30s. Like, I am so excited for this young group because they get it. They're energetic. They push you, kind of like you guys, right? You're hungry and want to get after it. And it's just like this big knowledge dump we're just trying to put on this young group coming up, and we just pile it on their shoulders and they're taking it, which is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other part, right? Is translating all the information and get them to take it on fast enough, because you're drinking from a fire hose, man.
It is. And I would say, you know, I get asked this routinely. It's like, you know, what do you know now you didn't know 2 years ago? Or, you know, what are some of the challenges you didn't expect, you know, along the way? And some, you knew you're going to have some supply chain challenges and labor challenges we talked about. But the pipeline went dry for so many years that the dealer base got starved from product and was completely dismantled. So, I mean, we used to have, I don't know what, you know, 5, 6, 7,000 dealers. You could find a Thompson Center product at virtually every single dealer across the country. And, you know, it took, I mean, we're 60 years old this year. So, you know, it took whatever, 50 years to build that legacy and to train the guys behind the counter. And that little span from 2020, now it was slipping before then, right? But really 2020 to 2025, like this 5-year span of not having product in the marketplace is so tough to get those dealers retrained, re-educated, product on the shelf. I mean, just think about it. If we want to ship one gun, so there's about 19,000 FFL holders out there. 19,000. Let's say there's 7,000 to 10,000 retailers out there. Well, that's a lot of guns you got to make to put one in every dealer.
Yep.
Let alone what you used to have on the shelf, and then multiply that times 100 and some accessories. So I would say that's been our biggest challenge, is rebuilding that dealer base, because everything that goes into distribution just gets gobbled up. But that's a blessing, and you know, we're excited for the challenge.
Yeah. Now, are there any new innovations you're working on? I mean, obviously some of them you might not be able to speak about, but like, I know you're reviving a legacy, but obviously knowing you've got some kind of vision going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So I'll break the vision kind of into three pieces. So one of the legacy aspects of our brand is muzzle loading. And, you know, we have innovations coming with Fire Stick here next month. And if you guys aren't familiar with Fire Stick, it is an absolute game changer in muzzle loading, because you don't have to pour the powder, measure it, pour it down your barrel, then load your projectile. You can just load the projectile and put a Fire Stick, which Federal has patented. They load it just like shotgun shells. And so now you can put it in the back of your gun. There's no breech plug. And then you can pull it back out of your gun. So cleaning, maintenance, safety, accuracy, performance, it checks every single box. That's amazing. We're working on some completely new muzzleloader platforms with Michael Waddell on the bone collector side, and those will be coming about next year. And so that kind of takes the muzzleloading piece. Then on the hunting handgun side, we don't want to forget about the handgun hunter, because TC started off as a handgun hunting company in '65 and brought our first Contender pistol out in '67. So new calibers, new platforms. And one that I'm really excited about that we're prototyping this year is turkey barrels for handguns. So nice. 410 turkey barrels. And I know as soon as I say 410, you got to make a 28 gauge. You got to make that. Okay, just we'll get there. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I think there's certain states, Maine's one of them. There's other states that allow the use of a handgun, shotgun, for hunting turkeys. And I think that could be cool and different, and people who love to reap or just like to run and gun, it could be something entirely different. And I mean, think of how many birds are in Georgia. You go, okay, we don't need a 12 gauge anymore, right? I want to shoot a 410 because it's different. Well, how about a 410 pistol? That kind of ups the game.
Yeah, completely different. That's awesome.
Well, to that point, I mean, Jay is a prime example. He doesn't need a 12 gauge. He walks around with a youth 20 gauge. He's like, man, as much as I walk around running gun, I'm not carrying something heavy. I'm gonna carry this youth 20 gauge. That's all I need.
And if you're reefing, I can shoot it one handed. It's light. I just hold the.
Exactly.
I mean, I could just.
Right. Well, right. Exactly. You can hold your decoy, your fan, right?
Yeah.
You come up,
And the gun just holds perfect.
right, or
like
you
that.
can keep or you can belly crawl, with the gun across you and a holster here. Come on up, right, and then come into your decoy.
Oh, yeah, I'm down. I'll John Wayne one.
Yeah, exactly. But they're the kind of fun things that we're really focusing on. The younger hunters who are hunting, like you just talked about, Jay. People, hunters who are saddle hunting, right? Because the Encore platform, we're making 20-inch barrels, right, where the gun, is 36 inches long. That's it. We're actually it's 34 inches long. Where you can put it in scabbard in your back, you can go up, you can hang out in your saddle, you can do everything, in one trip up. You have like the perfect gun platform for saddle hunting. So trying to really dial in the individual users out there is a real focus of ours.
Well, Graham just hopped in. Graham, this is Greg. Greg, this is Graham.
How's it
Hey,
going?
buddy, how's it going? Good.
Sorry about the late arrival. Sorry about that.
You running late from practice?
No, I had to go to a golf club fitting and hit traffic.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Got the real story.
Yeah.
Well, he was just talking about how they're going to make they're working on a 410 turkey pistol.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So, and hey, just throw a red dot sight, reflex sight on that, and a little holster in the front. We're just talking about different, styles of gun designs that we have kind of coming down in the in the new product side. Obviously the legacy products are all going to come out, but you got to do some fun stuff because people still want to challenge themselves in the field.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I put a red dot sight on my turkey gun last year for the first time. I felt like that was a cheat code, bro.
Oh, tell me about it. And they're so small right now, right? I'm running a Delta Point Pro, by Loophole, but the Romeos by Sig. You go right down the list. There's a dozen good ones, right? And,
Yeah.
It's a game changer. You don't even have to turn them on now. They're all motion activated.
Yeah. Well, the one I got was the one that Vortex came out with last year that you don't need the Picatinny attachment. It goes straight on the barrel. That was money. Like, because then I don't have to mess with any of it. The height is right there. You don't have to worry about raising your face up, that extra inch or whatever it is.
Right. It fits better with the drop on the stock for a shotgun. Yeah, no doubt.
So, are you guys? So, I have my favorite gun. I have is a TC Venture. Are you guys going to get back into the bolt actions at all?
We are. Yep. In fact, later this year. So in the acquisition, it would start off as a intellectual property, right? Because we didn't get really any equipment, but in the purchase agreement, we said, hey, anything that is Thompson Center related, parts, tooling, gauges, fixture, unique, that you guys want to send our way, great. If there's nothing, it's nothing. If it's something, it's something. 67 tractor trailer loads later, literally, and 4 million parts came up. 4 million. And but you got to think about it. It's everything that was made for years got moved down to Springfield, got moved up, and and in part of that, we've got a bunch of Venture receivers machined. So we're looking at doing a small run here this fall because that's probably one of the most asked for guns to bring back out. Contender 1, Hawken number 2, I'd say just from a legacy standpoint, and Venture would be 3. So we're looking at creating some new calibers, new barrel configurations, and then the tried and true receiver that you have.
Yeah. So the TC Venture, when I got it, it was like $500, and for the price, you could not beat the accuracy out of the box with just about any brand ammunition you wanted.
Yep.
And then the other one, a friend of ours has a TC Icon, a 243, and I'm talking at 100 yards, you can shoot a quarter every single time, no questions asked.
That gun was so ahead of its time. And when I say that, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. because they were all patented. And what's crazy is now it's sourced out in the open marketplace. We were the first company, we patented it, to integrate Picatinny rails into the receiver. And now you look at all these high-end Remington clones, you look at Seekins rifles, they machine the bases right into the receiver. TC started that in 2007. We were the first gun company to put an internal chassis inside a stock. And now you look like, well, it's commonplace. Everybody puts aluminum frame inside the stock and now puts the receiver into that. TC patented that. We were the first ones to do that. And then also the full body bolt design, which you see on like the Ruger Gen 2s, you see on the Winchesters, you see on the Brownings, just so the bolt was more stable coming back. So there's a lot of things that were on, technology-wise, are on that venture and on the Icon. But I don't know there's a better shooting gun out of the box than the Icon was back in 07. I mean, I can tell you. So the best group that we ever had, so every gun was shot on an acoustical target. So every single round, ever fired out of every single Icon was kept in a database. And it was all fired with factory ammo. The best group I personally ever saw was .09 inches.
Good grief.
Factory ammo. Yeah. You can't. Now these are mechanically shot, right? So the receiver was put into a fixture, right? And it was on rails that went back and forth. So this isn't a human shooting it, right? These are all mechanically shot. So and it's indoors, right? So I mean, it's the best of the best. But can you imagine building a gun back in 07 that could shoot literally .09 inches? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've shot them before now. You're talking hitting a quarter as a human at 100 yards every time, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah. But the same engineers and gun designers that built them back then are working for us now. But that's the legacy that we want to bring back. We want to bring back true gun making. We're not trying to hit a price point, right? We want to do things that are cool and innovative and provide tremendous value. What TC was really known for was innovation and value. Like you said, for the venture, what you got for the money was unbelievable. And people don't mind spending whatever it takes. Like the Icon, when it came out, was $1,000. Right? So back in 2007, that was considered a lot of money for a rifle. But what it gave you was $5,000 of value. And that's our sweet spot right there. Give people a lot of value for the money.
Yeah, that's the part I love about it. I mean, think about it like Camo brand, right? Like Bass Pro has their version and Academy have their own in-house brands. They're all about price point. It's not necessarily about quality. Then you got Sitka that's way up here, and then you got someone in the middle that's, hey, we're going to give you the Sitka quality, but better price point.
Yep. Same thing. But it's just exciting to see the consumer react to the brand, though. That's the coolest thing. When you look at the DMs that we get, the emails that we get, people reposting when they get the guns, like that gives you the motivation to go to work every day, because there's literally 1 million users out there who all, had an experience with the TC in the past.
Yeah. Now, 2 questions. One, rebuilding a gun brand in 2020, I guess you started 2024 to now. Have you had any problems social media wise? Because you know how that stuff works. It can be dangerous.
The biggest challenge on social media, there aren't any naysayers, which is amazing. It's the impatience that people have. And I don't know whether it's a lack of understanding that, hey, we bought this, we didn't have a company, we didn't have employees, we didn't have equipment. So maybe there's a lack of understanding, but then some people just don't care. I want what I want when I want it. And they don't understand, like, we want to satisfy you. We want to sell you something. God's honest truth. We want you to have a product in your hands to go chase whatever you want to in the world. But people think that if they get nasty or bully you or get mean, that it's going to change something. All it does is aggravates the people who work tirelessly to do this. And but I guess that's social media, right? You're going to have your your keyboard warriors out there.
I think it's the Amazon mentality too. You know, so many people are used to nowadays you can order something and it's at your doorstep, like sometimes that night, you know, and
Right.
I think they just expect every company to provide, you know, that service now.
Yep. Yeah, they absolutely. I think you're 100% right, because there's always been so many choices out there that if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And hey, we're getting better every day. I mean, we went from shipping, you know, a handful of guns in a week to shipping hundreds of guns now in a day. Like that's, but again, the more we get out there, the more it continues to drive. It's like the flywheel is getting bigger. It's just, I just a couple weeks ago, you know, just a short little update. Hey, here's where we're at. Accessories, you know, get ready to launch. Turkey guns coming. Fire stick, get ready to launch. 120,000 views and 600 comments. And it's like, whoa. And, you know, and every single DM gets reviewed, gets answered. You know, I sit down with the lady who drives all our creative and our marketing, and she handles the social media. And, you know, she sits there and goes, hey, we got 200 more questions we got to go through today. I'm like, let's do it. Right. And it's,
That's impressive. I'll give you credit. That is impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I just want people to know we care. We hear you. We care. We wish we could get more product out there. But I will tell you, on the flip side, from the quality standpoint, you know, you're always going to have the onesies, twosies that get out the door that you don't want to. Those are handled white glove immediately. But outside of that, I mean, I don't hear anything negative on the quality of when people finally find it, they're really happy. And that's the biggest thing for me. We'll get manufacturing where it needs to be. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah. Well, it's important too. I think when you respond to the DMs like that, it shows people you love them or care about them.
Yep.
And it creates loyalty.
Yep.
Which is not commonplace anymore.
Yeah, there's not many companies could say like what you guys are doing, Greg.
Yeah. And not only that is, you know, Sean and I do this together. Like she reads them and I'm like, okay, respond here. This is what, because some of these are legacy questions. Well, hey, you know, are you going to bring the Firestorm back out? Or, you know, will this breech plug fit this? And, you know, blah, you know, there's people still want information on product, even if we don't make it today. And we feel a responsibility to the brand is to help everybody we possibly can. And I think we're doing the best, because Smith & Wesson didn't approach it that way. Not that it's right or wrong. They're a big gun company. Do a great job. We're not a big gun company. We don't want to be, you know, making 20,000 pieces of popcorn, right? We want to make a few special products out there for unique hunters. So, I mean, hey, if we make 50 410 pistols out there to reap turkeys, I don't care. We make 50 of them. We make 500. We make 500. Nobody had to do a cost analysis. We just said we want to do it and go do it. Like, that's a fun place to be when you're a gun company.
Well, it also makes a better product because you're doing what you want to do.
Oh yeah. And it's well, and the other cool thing about being in the gun business, our industry would not exist without a gun. Optics wouldn't exist, ammo wouldn't exist, accessories don't exist, tree stands wouldn't, like you're at the center of the activities. Like, without a bow and without a gun, we don't have an industry. So when you're talking to the Vortex of the world and the Loopholes of the world and the Swarovskis of the world and go on down the line, and then the Federals, the Hornadys, the Winchesters, the Remington, like, it's cool when you go to SHOT Show and you look at your meeting list and like, I'm meeting with every single ammo company in this industry. And, okay, this news coming out and this and this and this. Okay, all these NDAs you sign because they all want you to be part of the launch. Like, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. I know they used to, didn't TC make their own, I don't know if you want to call it caliber, but the TC-30, is that correct? You guys still going to do that, or do you still do it?
The 30 TC. So here's a cool backstory to that. A lot of people don't remember. So the 30 TC was released when we released the Icon in 2007. So the next iteration of the 30 TC to come out The name was changed because the company was sold. So Smith & Wesson purchased it, okay? And Hornady, we worked in collaboration with Hornady. And so Hornady decided, hey, we're not going to call the next one the 6.5 TC. We're going to call it the 6.5 Creedmoor.
So that's the 6.5 Creedmoor.
This parent case for the 30 TC is the case that was necked down to 6.5. So had TC never been sold, chances are it would have been called the 6.5 TC, which, as everybody knows, when you like the caliber, you don't like the caliber, it sold a lot of guns for a lot of years. And, of course, then it, went to become the, 6mm Creedmoor and 25 Creedmoor and 22 Creedmoor. I mean, it just got necked down. It's a fantastic case. The other interesting thing that came out of that, so there was a special powder blend that was developed on the 30 TC. And again, since TC was not privately owned anymore, Hornady went and took that powder blend and created a whole nother line of ammunition called Superformance. So out of the development of that cartridge, that one cartridge for one rifle, you had a line of ammunition called Superformance, and you had a whole line of Creedmoors that were spawned. So kind of an interesting history lesson on what could have been that never was because the company was sold.
That's cool. That might be one of the most random questions that turned into the coolest answers I've ever asked. I'm done for the night. You guys can ask the questions. I'm calling it quits on that
one. Y'all have threaded barrels, right? So you can put a muzzle brake or suppressor on it?
So virtually all of the Encore barrels, pistol and rifle barrels, are all threaded to SAMI specs, because there's three sizes to a threaded barrel, right? You basically have your 22 caliber size, you have call it your 30 caliber size, and you have 35 caliber and up. And but every barrel comes threaded, so suppressor or muzzle brake, because we all know where suppressors are going. They're going to be commonplace. Because you can hunt with them in Kentucky, I believe, and in Georgia.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to hear people that like hunting with suppressors, ask them the reason why they like, and a lot of it is your hearing after the shot.
Well, two things. So when somebody truly learns how to shoot, okay, so yes, absolutely, the experience, you don't get your ears blown off, and more people are hunting out of a hard-sided blind, right, than ever have. But the other thing, when you learn how to shoot correctly, the suppressor helps you because you stay on the target and see the impact. So you see where you hit relative to where you're aiming. So from a wind drift or elevation standpoint, if you need a second shot, you now can correct that shot because you saw the point of impact. So I take a 30-06, 308, whatever, even 6.5 Creedmoor, and if you're off target, you don't know where you hit. You have no idea. But now with a suppressor, I can stay in the gun, and you learn to stay in the gun, and you sit there and go, okay, I hit 4 inches to the left. Okay, well, that was because of wind, and I adjust accordingly. And then, so it just makes you a more ethical hunter all the way around.
Yeah. Jay, does Noah, has he ever shot with a suppressor?
Mm-mm. No, he stays in the gun, though.
Jay's got a son. That kid's one of the best shots I've ever seen in my life. How old is he?
He's 11.
So we do this crawfish bowl every year, Greg, and there's a bunch of guns out there. I'm talking from 460 Smith & Wesson Magnum revolvers all the way up to 338 Lapuas. And this kid was 10 last year, and he's shooting his 338 Lapua, not complaining a lick. I mean, he is an impressive shot.
When he shoots, he'll pull the trigger and nothing moves. Head doesn't come out of the scope. You just sit there and watch him. He shoots zip ties at 25 yards with his 22 cricket. That's his thing.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, he doubled. We called 2 coyotes in, and he doubled on them. He shot the first one in between the eyes at 100 yards. And then he's like, can I shoot the other one? I was like, if it stops, shoot it. And it stopped for a second. He dropped that one too. He's a menace.
Amazing.
He's a bad.
It's crazy, dude.
He's a way better shot than me. Like he doesn't miss. So, but he stays. He's got very good. His form's good.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've taught him well, but I know with my kids, of course, they're all older now. They don't want to go to the range and not have a suppressor on, because the experience is better. The noise, the recoil, the skill set. It's just more fun to shoot. Whether you hunt with that or not, it's state dependent. But just going to the range and just shooting and learning that skill, it's so much nicer. And you don't have the noise pollution, right? If you have houses around you and you're shooting, it's like you don't feel self-conscious of your neighbor, getting all cranky if they hear a gunshot go off.
Zip ties at 25 yards. That's
pretty good.
Does he want to shoot competitively or anything, Jay?
Nah, he doesn't.
No.
He just wants to shoot.
He's
We went to he's won 2 guns at these. They have these they're for kids, the Quail Forever. It's just a thing, and he's won last 2 years. He's won 2 guns, and he can shoot a shotgun. I took him goose hunting the other day, and he was shooting them out of the air with a 20 gauge. You know what I mean? He's only this. He's little. But I mean, the first one came in and it was 4, we let it land and I was like, you see it? Make sure he gets one. And he's like, well, which one is it? I was like, what's the one moving, man? Not the decoys, it's the one walking. Of course, the goose sees us. It takes off flying and I'm like, it's 40, it's getting out of here. You gonna shoot it? He's like, it was 40 yards. He killed it. I was like, all right. But he doesn't care about deer hunting. He just wants if you call it in, that's his thing. He likes turkeys, coyotes, and ducks and geese. He likes to call at them. He's not a sit and wait guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But sounds like you need to take him on an elk hunt.
Yeah, he probably would that.
Sounds like you're gonna have a full freezer from here on out.
Yeah, he's hard. He's hard on him. I don't have to shoot anything anymore. I just let him do it.
Yeah. So, well, that's man. I'm so happy Thompson Center's coming back. That's just me, though.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I have a TC Impact. It was the entry level muzzleloader. I bought it I got it for a Christmas gift in 2012, and I've shot probably a dozen bucks with it, and it still shoots the day it came out of the box.
Yeah, and that's that's where you don't have to have. You have to have clever, simple designs. Not everything has to be a Swiss watch.
Yeah.
And we go back to the whole value proposition, right? TC knew how to make barrels. And whether the barrel was on an Impact or an Encore, it was made the same way, on the same equipment, by the same people, with the same standard, with the same, belief in what makes a barrel good. And then you have, it doesn't interchange with centerfire, right? So it's not an Encore. And it has less moving parts than a Triumph, right? And doesn't have overmolded stocks and Flex Tech. But as far as a deer killing muzzleloader, man, that and the Omega were probably the 2 simplest muzzleloaders ever made that have killed hundreds of thousands of deer, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. Now you're coming out. Let's switch species. You have the turkey barrels, correct? Shotgun barrels for the Encore platform. Do those come with a choke tube?
Yep, they do. Yep. So 410, 20, and 12. We are working on 28s. We're gonna get the question, right?
I'm not that guy though.
And it's as soon as we say one thing, people want the other, right? But we're gonna try to keep it in the guardrails here with 410s, 20s, and 12s. And I can just tell you from the back orders that we have now, there's just no way we're gonna produce what we need for the season. It's the Encore platform. So this is a 24-inch barrel. So I put this in perspective for you. The gun's overall length is only 38 inches. And it only weighs 5.5 pounds or something like that. It's light, it's nimble, it's easy to carry. And it doesn't matter whether it's a 12 or the 20 or the 410. I mean, it's just such a maneuverable gun. And most people now, they're not worrying about what the second shot is. right? They just, with TSS now, one good shot. We talked about, red dot sight. Once you know what your effective range is with TSS, they're dead. I mean, they just don't even flop. So I think, those married together, and our thread patterns on here are the Mossberg 500 thread pattern. So that we know that people are going to want to play with their choke tubes and go spend $1 bazillion on 5 different tubes and play with their. We're not going to outthink the consumer, right? You go do if you want your little Foxtrot ammo right there and your Indian Creek tube, run it, right? We gave you the platform. You do what you want.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines about TSS, traditional shotgun, hold 3 shells with the plug in it, right? Are you putting TSS every one in there? Nope. First one's TSS. The next 2 are the cheap ones, because if I got to be shooting again, something's wrong. A, and B, it's too expensive to be shooting that much TSS on one bird.
Yeah, is that right? Right. That bird isn't worth $100.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. That's what. It's funny. We had Jay and I had a buddy of ours, and Graham set our bows up, or Matthews up this year, and he's getting into, you got a broadhead, you do this, that, and the other. I'm like, man, I'm a bow hunter, not a target shooter. Can it kill it? All right, we're good.
Yep.
I'm the same way with a turkey gun. Is it going to kill it? Sweet. I ain't switching choke tubes out and trying 60 different choke tubes to see the best pattern I can get. I mean, at 10 steps, TSS is going to be like that anyways. So
I don't even use a turkey choke. I shoot them with my duck hunting choke. I don't even take that choke. Never comes out of my gun. Like I don't need an extra. If you shoot them at 10 yards, an extra full's hard to hit them. So I shoot them with an improved. Yeah, I shoot them with an improved modified. So
I think you're right. I think too many people now they're over choking their gun because they have this in their mind, right? I want to shoot 70 yards, right? I want to shoot 50 yards, as opposed to I want a really good pattern where I think the kill zone should be.
Yeah.
Right. They're thinking range. And the other thing people don't realize on the turkeys, and I just say this because we've been testing a lot of turkey rounds lately, is that shot's dropping. Like there's an arc to your shotgun show. And don't let anyone tell you that there isn't, right? Just like there's an arc with a bow at 50 yards, there's an arc. So understanding where that arc is, you need to learn how to compensate for it. So, just because a TSS can kill lethally at 70 yards doesn't mean you can put it there. Like you're going to have to aim a little high and drop it in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've shot a couple at like 50, 55, and I thought I was aiming high enough, and it's still breasted. I'm like, that stuff is heavy, bro.
It is.
Oh, it's heavy.
Well, but
you can go buck a pound
that's
of
why
it.
you get the kill.
You order a pound of it, it comes in like a dip can. That's a pound of TSS is a dip can.
Yeah.
It's heavy. My buddy shoots, he reloads. He shoots coyotes with a 20 gauge TSS 1s. 70 yards, kills them. Dead.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. Because we carry too, like I'll carry a rifle and then he'll carry that shotgun, because if they come running in and they get on you tight, he whacks them, man. Because you swing in the gun, you're getting some pellets. But it goes through. It goes all the way through them dogs.
But all you need is one pellet. Because the right. Yeah, I mean it's been a game changer, and it goes to show you again kind of the whole value thing, that they're expensive, but how many shots do you really take? Like, I mean, I guess you guys down in Georgia, you do hunt a lot of turkeys, so you might go through a box of shells in a year. Yeah. I know here in New England.
Yeah, where at in New England are you?
So I'm in New Hampshire, right on the southern border, right next to Maine and Massachusetts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But all you guys are starting to come up here and find out about all the good turkey hunting up here. So
I'm not one of those guys. So you'll appreciate this, Greg. TV show world, as you know, I work with Jeff Lindsay. I've done it for over a decade, and gosh, this must have been 8 or 9 years ago. First time I did this, I was like, I texted my producer buddies. I'm like, hey, you want to come turkey hunt my farm in Kentucky? They're like, are we filming it? I'm like, heck no. And they're like, heck yeah. So it turned into this like annual thing. Like, we'd all go to my farm, go turkey hunt, no filming. Like, so I've always just pretty much hunted my farm because I'm just entertaining people. Like, hey, you want to come hunt, dude? Like, it's sick. And like, I mean, Jason Heathcote, right?
Oh, yeah.
Heathcote came, and so did Zach Frazee. And both of them are hunting with me, and they film Waddell and Primos, and they're like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, this might be like the best farm I've ever seen for eastern turkeys, and that's saying something. I said, I have no idea. I don't hunt anywhere else. Like, I've got no perspective on that, to be honest with you.
It's a cheat code.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, it's, and it's interesting to watch how the turkey population has kind of exploded in some areas. Like, you go to Maine and it's gotten really good, and then there's parts of Illinois right now that it's tough to find a bird. Whether it's change of farming practices or coyotes, right, or nest robbers, right. The explosion of possum, skunks, and coons. There's all kinds of theories out there. But
okay, here's a theory for you.
Yeah.
Baiting deer with corn, is that contributing to the nest robber population like coons? Because they have so much more food available. Like, how many coons you get on a corn pile? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think I would. That's a great question. It certainly can habituate them in that area. Let's face it, they're following the food. Yep. There's no doubt about that. And when I can see on my own farms, right? Because I've got farms in Ohio, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. Okay, so I've got about 10,000 acres. I've got a pretty big footprint on what goes on. And on corn years, you can definitely see a higher number of coons on your property. Do they all live there, or they just relocate there during that agriculture? A lot of the farms would be corn one year, beans one year, right? But you can start seeing that. And but I think your theory of the coons follow the food, right? And therefore they don't eat the corn exclusively, so they go and they're scavengers. They're going to find it, and they're going to eat every single egg they can find.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, man, there's a lot of coons.
But don't overlook bobcats.
There's a lot of them.
Bobcats, man.
They're getters.
Yep. I can see it here. I can see it in my backyard here. So typically every year we have one or two flocks. So we'll start off with 40 birds, right? Poults, little guys. And by the end of the season, by the end of the spring, and it happens every single year, you'll get 2 or 3 or 4 mothers will come together that each have 2 or 3 babies left, right? Because they start off with 10 or 12, right? And then slowly, right, the predator. So these are the ones that made it out of the egg stage, right? These are poults, right? So they made it through the nest robbing phase, but then slowly they get picked off, and it's the bobcats and the hawks, I think, put more. Let's face it, we don't regulate raptors. We don't, right? There's no way to regulate a raptor. So how many hawks are sitting there affecting the turkey populations out there, as well as the quail and the pheasants and all that in other parts of the state or country? Because they just swoop down, they snatch it, and they go away. Like, there's no evidence out there. So I think there's a lot that are snatched up by these hawks that you don't realize.
Yeah. It's an interesting perspective, that's for sure. Like,
yeah, you don't hear about hawks being like a potential nest predator.
Mm-hmm.
They're killers.
And they're and see, the mother can't defend against that, right? Because they come in, and I've seen it personally, so I'm speaking firsthand. But they come in and they grab it and they're gone, right? So by the time the mother squawks, she's just late. Alerting the others. She can't save the one that's in the talons.
Yeah.
My goal is to kill a banded turkey this year.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Where are you going to do that?
I know where they're at. Don't worry. I know where there's some at.
Travis was telling me somewhere just south of Clayton's there's a bunch of banded turkeys.
No, it's not. It's north. It's just north of Clayton's. There's a bunch of banded turkeys. I know where there's 7 brand new ones right now, but they're not.
That's cheating, Jay. That doesn't count.
What do you think? The only way to kill banded turkeys is to go where they banded the turkeys, guys. It's not like they're migratory birds. It's not going to fly to your farm. Yeah, I'm going to get one. That's my goal this year. Kill banded turkey.
So you'll appreciate this story, Greg. Jay, why don't you tell them about the turkey hunting competition and why they're changing the rules because of you?
I don't know if they're actually going to change the rules, but so they just scored. My buddy started this thing, and they asked if I want to do this. It's only been 2 years, but they score. They just do the weight, the spur length, plus the beard. So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll enter it. So I shot one. I always try to shoot one on my birthday, which is April 22nd. So I shot one on my birthday. I waited, shot one. It's like a 2-year-old, and I was asking, I was like, well, what if I kill one that has 2 beards? And they're like, well, they both count, you'll win. I was like, I'll be back tomorrow. And they're like laughing at me. So I got a trail camera out, and there's a double beard's been strutting in this field. So I just went down there. I got there like 10. I saw him out there strutting, set up on him, killed him, came back. So I won. And then this year, I didn't know this turkey I shot this year was this big, but I was hunting with Byron, and I took him and we shot one in the morning, and there's a turkey. He's like, "You want to shoot one?" And I was like, "I mean, if this one's out in this field, we'll go get him. He's been out there quite a bit." And we went out there, and he was out there. He had hens, and I was, we kind of had some good topography to get close to drainage, and I popped up over the drain, and I had a reaper decoy. We were in the woods. He was out in the field, and I just flashed that fan, and he comes up. He comes into it, and I shot him, and he's out in the field flopping, and me and Byron are like high fiving and whatever. I walk out there, and he's got 4 beards.
No
and I was
way.
like, I said, these boys are gonna kill me. Like, he had 39 and over 39 inches of beard, weighed 26 pounds, spurs. I mean, I almost won with one turkey. I was gonna try not to kill another one, but then some guy killed another one, and I was down like an inch, or 1 point or something. So me and my wife went out and shot one, but like, I don't know. I've killed 2 4-bearded turkeys on that same farm, and they're within 100 yards. And
it must be a genetic thing.
That's what I said. It's just a genetic thing. Like, my son's killed 2 double beards off that farm. Like, it's just some genetic on that farm where they have multiple beards. So, but I don't know if they're going to change the rules. I hope they don't.
Well, you know what farm? If they don't change, you know what farm you're going to be hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go right down there. Well, the banded ones aren't there, though. I'm going to have to sacrifice one.
Byron's going to be wanting to go to that farm this year instead of the other one.
Yeah.
He's going to want his 4-bearded turkey. So it's kind of cool, though, to see that with turkeys. We talk about whitetail genetics all the time, and to see that like on a specific farm is pretty interesting. Like, I always had turkeys that were 3-year-olds. They just really never had much for spurs, Yeah. And you can see, like, I don't manage for turkey genetics. I'm not that crazy about turkey hunting. I just like shooting them in the face, if we're being honest, right?
Yeah.
But it is cool to see, everyone gets so head over heels about whitetail, but there's other species of game that same thing. You've got the genetics factor that play into it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's true in every species. It's just tougher to see on a turkey, right? That, okay, his spurs are a 1/4 inch longer, 1/4 inch shorter. Now multiple beards I have heard of, and then you get some little different coloration changes in the feathers. Sometimes you'll see that change, but it's not as recognizable as a whitetail, right? Where you have one farm you get super wide bucks or great mass or drop tine trait that gets passed on for one to the next.
Yeah. Now, that comment is actually a great segue, Greg. With all the farms you have and the places you've hunted in different states, I'd love to ask you, if you had to pick 3 top things for managing whitetails on a farm, like, what have you seen to be the biggest improvement as far as overall quality of animals and or quality of hunting?
So always get a farm that borders the Lindsays. That's number one.
Yep.
It's interesting. We all know that age is important, but the one thing that people are overlooking now is social stress. There's a lot of farms that a lot of hunters, they want to see deer when they go out. I want to see 20 deer. I want to see 15 deer. Kentucky's got a lot of deer, right? Georgia's got a lot of deer. And I think we don't want to go through the discipline of managing the total number of deer, and there's a age pyramid right? That occurs, right? At the top of the pyramid are your more mature bucks. So a buck's not mature until it's 5, just biologically not mature. That doesn't mean you shouldn't shoot 3 and 4 year olds. Everybody should set their own standards, but that top is going to be ruled by your mature deer, whatever that age class is, and then the bottoms are your year and a half olds. And but if you get too many, let's call them management buck, cull bucks, bully bucks, deer that people don't want to shoot, that they could be pushing a lot of these up and coming bucks off your property that are 2-3 year old superstars, 4-year-old superstars. And because people I just like seeing deer. I only have one deer tag. Ohio only allows you to shoot 1 buck. Well, you still have to figure a way to go shoot those other deer out there. I mean, I can show you several deer. One comes to mind right now. Axel, was a 4-year-old who was 182 inches, and he was killed by a 10 and a half year old buck that just had 2 cow horn and brow tines, stabbed to death.
Heartbreaking.
So, it's heartbreaking, and it's not that we tried to kill him, but we always kind of waited to the end of the year, before we let the farm manager or other guest or my kids at a second tag or something, hey, go try to shoot kickstand out there. We called him kickstand. It used to be a wide 8-point with a flyer, and then he just became this cow horn, deer killing machine. Dominant buck. But I would say people got to manage the total number of deer, because that stress factor. Deer are, whether stress is drought, whether stress is food, whether stress is winter, whether stress is EHD, whether stress are ticks, right? You got to manage stress for deer to get to their genetic potential. So every year when you pull that handle on that slot machine and you're hoping for your 4 cherries, that only occurs when, it's a good year without stress, you have good water, you have great food, and the deer numbers are lower. A lot of people, will tell you after EHD, right, even though your deer herds, like Ohio just got smoked right now this year. You guys have probably heard that. Smoked with EHD. You watch how many big deer are going to come out of, so
yeah.
Yes, sir. Yep.
We got a place we hunt in southern Ohio, so yeah, we are familiar.
Yep, and you're going to see that because you took all this stress away from these deer, right? And those that survived, especially when the age class is there, when now they don't, they got a bigger buffet table and they don't have to be pushed all around, and the fawns, not as many fawns with zoomies out there chasing them out of the field every night. So
yeah, zoomies.
I would say
they do that.
They do.
They love it. Yeah.
You're going to have a better deer herd.
Yeah, EHD is one of those like double-edged swords. Like it does, especially if it gets something you're after, it really does suck. But it's just mother nature's.
I could show you.
Oh, I'm sure heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. But it's mother's nature's way of doing what we haven't done. Right. The reason so many deer dies because there's too many deer.
Right.
And that's just part of it.
No, it is, and unfortunately, the states, for whatever reason, well, I know why they're focused. They're focused on CWD because there's federal dollars now for testing, right, that are provided to the states, and everything's driven by the dollar. Follow the money, right? And but on the flip side, the farmers and the insurance companies aren't. Fish and Game doesn't want to talk about EHD, which kills, hundreds of thousands of deer as opposed to 1 or 2 deer in a state, because the insurance companies and the farmers are happy to see the reduction of the deer herd. So it's how do you balance all of this, and that's why you have to take managing habitat into your own hands, because the state is not going to help you on EHD. They absolutely will not. Been there, tried it, had the biologist, showed them the dead carcasses. They go, we don't care. Hey, we'll give you a depredation tag, all right? You can keep the antlers. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a solution. And but your best rebound years are going to have your best bucks, guaranteed.
Yeah, Lee Lukoski was talking about that. We talked to him back last summer. He's like, man, I can just about tell you right now, 2 years after a bad EHD outbreak, look out, buddy.
Well, so here's a great example. Okay, I'll put it in numbers for you. So on my home farm, so we got smashed, let's see, so 24, 21, 22, 22, 23 had a little bit, but certainly, 21, 22, right? So I'm 2 years after the peak of EHD on my home farm in Illinois. Okay. So had a 7.5-year-old scored 176. Had a 7.5-year-old scored 201. Had a 4-year-old scored 194. Had a 5-year-old that scored 184. Trying to think of them, and that's not even counting the 150s and 160s on one farm. Now, granted, 2,200 acres. Okay, but we've never had it this good, ever had it this good as far as that many. But it's those who survived EHD, right? Because I lost half my deer herd. So this is what Ohio is going to be braced for. There's going to be some big deer killed. So I'm crying because all these deer that were killed, but now 2 years later, I'm looking at the best year we've ever had on the farm. The problem is, the neighbors killed some and I killed some. So you sit there and go, well, I guess
at least you had it good for a season.
At least we had a good run. But I can speak firsthand to that and give you the numbers, because when you manage that many acres, you see the trends, and having done this for 15 years, and I've been through 3 major EHD outbreaks. So it's not theory. It's absolutely, and that's why, people go, oh my God, you had the best year ever. Well, I had the best year because I had the suckiest year 2 years ago, right? The pendulum went from this side to this side.
Yeah. You can either hate it for what it isn't or embrace it for what it is. Right. You can't change it though. So you might as well just embrace it.
Exactly. And manage accordingly, which means, okay, on those bad years, you don't shoot your bucks. And I know that's really tough. There's a bunch of, you put a lot of money and you put a lot of sweat equity into these farms, and you sit there and you feel like you got to punch your tag. And it's by not punching the tags in those EHD years and preserve the deer gives you those great opportunities. And that's the discipline, right? And that's the knowledge. And we can't, like you said, we only control what we can control. I know what you can control. It's this right here. That's the only thing at the end of the day you can only control is that little trigger finger.
Yeah.
Just lay off of them on those hard years. But, and that's what, again, I keep bringing Ohio up. There's people out there that, oh man, it was a tough year. And, so what they do, start shooting the 3 and 4 year olds.
Well,
what are you going to have in 2 years? Nothing.
Yeah. I always like flipping things on its head, right? So let's think about that thought process. Oh, it's a tough year, but you feel that you're compelled to fill that tag. It's like, think about how many years did you not fill that buck tag anyways? So what's one more? So what? Just get over it and embrace it. If you're truly in it to try to shoot a giant, right?
Or go shoot that management buck, right? Go shoot that, that little, crappy 4-point or 6-point that's out there, right? It's 3 on one side and 2 on the other, right? Or go shoot some of those does out there and get the population down if needed. But yeah. I agree with you 100%. But that's it's really tough for people to understand that you got to have the discipline to lay off them in those tough years.
Yeah. What's your favorite state out of all those states to hunt that you got?
Well, I mean, the best state that's managed the most correctly is Iowa, right? Now, obviously, even though I own land in Iowa with the Lakoskis, I can only hunt there every 6 years. So unfair to say. But every state's a little different. I'm going to tell you why. You look at states like Kentucky and Missouri, they have really good rifle seasons during the rut, right? So if you're a gun hunter, they are fantastic states to be in. Tougher to shoot higher end deer because more deer get killed during the rut, and obviously a rifle gives you the ability to shoot further, more accurately. So from a rifle hunter's perspective, I'll take Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Missouri all day long. When it comes to rattling deer, and aggressive whitetails and a deer that can show up and travel 2 miles on a drainage that you've never seen before and be a mega, I'll take Kansas all day long.
I knew that was about to come out of your mouth. So
Right,
you said
right.
2
So, I
miles
mean,
in a
it's like-
drainage.
Correct. So if I can have access to a drainage, and I love to bow hunt during the peak of the rut, and I like to hit the horns together, I'm going to choose Kansas. If I'm in a state where I have a big piece that I can manage and I have the opportunity at 2 tags a year, I like Illinois, right? So I burn one on a trophy, I burn one on a management deer. I know that I'm always going to get my tag, right? It's not like I own ground in Iowa. I haven't hunted there in 5 years. I've paid my taxes. I put my food plots in. Nobody's hunted those farms, but I don't get to enjoy them. So I think every state has their twist of what it provides for people. You go to Georgia, look at the deer density. Oh my God, Georgia's fun to hunt because I'm going to see a lot of deer. I'm going to have a lot of opportunities, right? I don't have to sit and freeze to death in January. So when people say, "What's your favorite to hunt?" It's kind of what's your objective. If your objective is just to grow a giant deer and never hunt them, go buy ground in Iowa. If you want to go take your kids hunting and know you're guaranteed a tag, give me Kentucky and Georgia all day long.
Yeah. I've never heard that. I've never thought about that perspective before. Like, pick the state not based on maybe the quality of deer, but how do you want to hunt them?
How do you, I tell you, 140-inch deer is a big deer.
Oh, yeah.
Right. We throw all these numbers around, right? And to me, the only reason I measure the deer is to see are my management practices improving on the piece of property I'm managing. So if I can turn a property and go from 100-inch mature deer, right, 5.5-year-old, make them a 120 because I manage my habitat better, that's the only reason I measure them. It's not to say it's not for bragging rights. It's just a benchmark for as a management tool. And but I mean, when you get to 140-inch, I clearly remember the first time I shot a 140-inch deer. I thought it was going on the cover of North American Whitetail. Seriously, and I was in college in Ohio, right? And I grew up in Maryland. I shot a lot of deer in Maryland, but nothing that was 140 inches. And I literally thought I shot, not the world record, but something worthy of the cover of a magazine. And because I came from out east, I didn't know what a big deer was. And of course, all the locals around me, they're like, "Yeah, nice buck." And I'm like, "No." Like, this deer's got 10 points, like 10 points. And they're like, "Okay, yeah, nice job."
Yeah.
Greg, do you feel like if Illinois went to 1 buck and maybe managed their non-resident tag similar to Iowa, that it would actually eclipse Iowa in terms of quality?
Iowa, Kansas,
and it's farm specific, obviously.
They all of those states like that belt. Okay, so take Ohio to Kansas, right? A latitude. It's all the same. It's how you manage them. If I was in charge of state regulations in Illinois, I would make one fundamental change that would dramatically change the quality of the bucks. And it's really simple. And, I shoot every weapon. I think every weapon should be available for people to hunt with. Like, I don't care whether it's vertical bow, crossbow, muzzleloader, handgun, rifle. I love them all, right? But if you shoot a deer with a crossbow in Illinois, it punches your gun tag. If they made that one change,
yeah,
you would add 10 inches to your herd in a year. And then you would increase the age class within 3 years to where you would sell out of non-resident tags. Because I'm seeing it all the time now that these people who lease ground, go with outfitters, own ground, and you get 2 tags. Well, you're going to shoot one with a crossbow, and they're going to shoot one with a gun. And the problem is when it gets to be gun season, it's like this human nature. I got to put meat in the freezer. They go shoot a 2 or 3-year-old, right? They go shoot a 120 or 130 or a 4-year-old all-star, right? And then gun season comes around, and then they go punch the second tag. So I think if you make them, to where if you shoot a crossbow punches your gun tag, I think it would be an entirely different age structure in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope Fish and Game is listening to me and takes my recommendation.
All right, we'll put some hashtags in
Yeah,
there.
we'll tag him in the post.
Hey,
Well,
guys,
while we're
I
at it,
got-
hashtag
but it's
move
got-
Kentucky's gun season back.
I got to jump off here, Clayton. I got to go get my boy from football practice. So, Greg,
Sounds
I
good,
appreciate
buddy.
you.
You're good, man.
I appreciate
All right,
you coming
man.
on, man. It's a pleasure
Yeah,
talking to you.
No, absolutely fun. Well, keep raising them right, man. You're doing something right, and make sure you buy your son all the ammo he ever wants to shoot. Just makes him
I will-
better.
Yes, sir. See you guys.
See you, buddy.
CJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
we
was
can
a-
go ahead.
go ahead.
Clayton. No, go ahead.
You're good.
I was going to completely change topic. So if you're not going to change topic, you
I
should
was going to,
probably
go ahead. Change
Okay.
it. I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, we can come back to the whitetail world, but Greg, I'm a PA boy originally. Like, grew up in PA, lived there for 26 years. You got to talk about the PA elk experience. Everything from like getting the tag, choosing how you were going to hunt, the hunt itself, like the whole whole deal.
I will say I've been blessed. I've had a long career. I've hunted all over the world. I've killed some incredible animals. Right. It just and I will put PA in the top 5, maybe top 3 hunts I've ever been on. Like it, and I'm talking from the total experience. And I've killed bigger elk, right? But I'm talking the whole experience, because the getting the tag and how special it is already made it. Like I'm going on a hunt. First of all, I've like never drawn any tags. I mean, I spend thousands of dollars, and I look at it as donations every year to every state out there, right? Never thinking you're going to win anything. So just the fact that I was, drawn for this, whatever it was, 13 years putting in, I put in from the beginning, right? And, and really, I think on the bow side, I think it was only like six or 7 years that they even had a special bow season. They just started off with a gun season, right? And then they had the herd grew, and they had a bow season. So that was really cool, and how special and how much the PA culture. I didn't realize this. I grew up in Maryland, but when I grew up in Maryland, they didn't have elk season, and there's a whole culture in PA that just follows the elk, right? From people who video them, photograph them, sightseeing, the tourism around it. Like, it was so special to see how many I'm talking hundreds of thousands of people. Like Benazet, they'll have 500,000 people come through just for the elk. Like, I didn't know that. So that really made what I was doing special and unique, because everywhere you went, I was the only person in my unit hunting a bull. One tag. So everywhere you go, how's the hunt going? What are you seeing? What's going on? So the amount of social media interaction, everywhere you went to pump your gas or to get a cup of coffee or to go in and have a sandwich somewhere, it just made you feel really good about how the culture of the outdoors and hunting and wildlife management is infectious to like everybody benefits. And man, if we could just create that model across the country, just everybody gets something out of it. Even if you don't draw a tag or you don't pull the trigger. And the outfitter I went with was unbelievable, fantastic, top notch. And to watch how all their guys work together. So if because I participated, I think on three or four elk recoveries that weren't mine, just because somebody else shot an elk, and it's like, all hands on deck, let's go get the elk out. So we're like, okay, let's go. Okay, stop hunting, and everybody just go to get the elk out of the woods. But that culture was really cool to see it. So it wasn't just about one person with a tag. It was everybody rallied around that. But as far as the elk hunt itself, it was the neatest thing about it was the elk are not used to being called to. So everywhere else I've hunted, Arizona, Montana, Utah, go down the list, right? these elk are call shy. Even on private land hunts, they're call shy, right? Because they've grown up being a little caught here. They don't care, right? Nobody's hunting them. So that was really neat to see that when you located one, you could work them. Now, that doesn't mean it was always going to be an incredible bull. But, I mean, we called my bull out of a hollow. I bet you he was, I don't know if he was half mile away, right? But he was a ways away. And here would come up through the hollow just growling and screaming, and called him into 14 yards. Like how do you top that? Whereas, you know what would have happened if you were in Montana. He would have stayed in the bottom of that hollow and screamed his head off waiting for you to come down.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. The people don't realize just the hunting culture in PA is huge. I mean, I think it gets a lot of negative publicity just because of the number of hunters and the popularity of the gun season, obviously. But there is a different culture there for sure.
There is, and they really appreciate the camp atmosphere and hunting as a group and the sharing of the stories. And, sometimes I think we go too far to one side on managing, I should say, the exclusivity part of hunting, right? Where this is my ground and I'm managing it this way and you can only shoot this, or, you're on a highly, very expensive guided hunt. Like you got to remember, it's like the camaraderie in camp and the memories and the experiences way outweigh the inches on the wall. Because at the end of the day, your trophy on the wall is only a conversation piece. And if you have nothing to talk about or anybody to talk to, what's it matter? Right?
Yeah.
If it just sat there up on the wall and you didn't have anyone to tell the story to, like what's it really matter? Not one person, has ever asked how big my elk was. How big, how much did he score? And blah, 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 blah. It's a PA bull. Like that's just special. And, now I will tell you, they got some
Yeah, they've got some slammers, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't draw in one of those units, right? 10, 12, 14. There's a handful of those units that legitimately you can hunt a 400-inch bull. I was in one of the tougher units and blessed to shoot what I did, but I didn't. I just wanted to shoot a mature bull. I didn't come in there with a number in my head. I mean, I literally shot the first mature bull that I could, and I stalked a couple others that were smaller. I was guaranteed I would have sent an arrow if I connected. I just got lucky that it all came together. But I almost don't even want to talk about it because so many more people now are gonna start applying for these tags.
Yeah.
Well, look, you don't have to worry about guys like Graham because he's not going to be able to do it for another decade thanks to work. Yeah.
You know what? If I ever drew the tag, I'd quit my job. Like it's that special of tags. That's all I can say is I would put in regardless of $100 or whatever it is, and I would just I'd get COVID or something for a month.
I'd get COVID.
If I could do that and get away from my job for a little bit of time to do something like that, I would without getting let go and blackballed. But
yeah. But you know what? It was interesting. There's a check because you got to take all your elk have to come to a check station, and the public learns to go to the check stations at certain times. And there were many people who, when I say many, two that I was there, but I've heard this is common. Most of the people who draw the tag are residents, right? Just statistically, only 10% of the tags go to non-residents. So it's very, very tough to draw. But a lot of these residents, they don't get time off. They only hunt on weekends. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, you got the tag of a lifetime. And they're like, yeah, I'm a school teacher. I can't get off or whatever it is, or I can't afford to get off. And they're literally just hunting on a Saturday and a Sunday. Remember, Sunday hunting just legalized in PA.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we were talking to DJ Carrasco. He's a former relief pitcher in MLB, and when he was playing with the White Sox, he was Jim Thome's teammate, and DJ drew a coveted elk tag, and he was telling us how, like, Thome had the flight share time on a private jet, and him and Thome are trying to figure out, like, dude, you got to make this hunt. Thome's like, you can't miss it, and DJ's trying to find a way to just take, like, 3 days off, but the manager wouldn't let him. He's like, dude, I've never drawn that tag since.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's crazy, but but it goes to show you, hey, great management. And, there's other states popping up. There's Tennessee and Virginia.
I saw that today. I saw something today about Tennessee. I didn't even know they had that in Tennessee.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is the first year for Tennessee. And obviously Kentucky, we all know about, right? Which is, that's probably the first Eastern state that really got popular for elk hunting, right? Because Kentucky before PA as far as like being the go shoot a mega on east of the Mississippi.
Yeah, all that coal mine ground.
Yep, exactly.
So you said top 3 for the elk hunt, Greg. What's number 1?
Probably Cameroon for bongo.
Okay.
And I say that because it's a cultural experience.
Gotcha.
Like the whole trip on hunting with the pygmies, hunting in, a rainforest, hunting something that's totally remote, off the grid, just what you went through is up there. Hunting Yukon moose is up there because, again, remote factor, backcountry. Now you got to add the factor in. I was hunting with Jim Shockey up there, who's a legend.
Yeah.
At least in his own mind, he's a legend. I can say that because we're good friends.
I don't know. He is kind of a legend.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll give it to him.
We'll give him a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's only about 5'2" when you take his hat and his cowboy boots off. But no, I would say, that would be another. Again, I'm all about the experience. It's not about, the inches on something or how big it is. So I look at the whole, like when you come back, like what stories can you tell? And, those are definitely, two other hunts. And then obviously any hunts with my kids, like I can recite, how far they were and what they shot and what went on. And I mean, all of those, you guys can relate to that. I know Jay can. They're like, I'm taking my oldest daughter, Sydney, to New Zealand this year.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's a hunt she's always wanted to do. And we're going to do it when she graduated high school, but she graduated during COVID 2020. And, but I wanted the right experience. So I'm going with the group from Hornady. So, and Waddell's going to be there because, when you plan these trips, I'm like, honey, every year, can we go? When can we go? I really want to, but wait until it fit in her lifestyle and the right group of people where at the end of the hunt, she's going to walk away and not even remember how big the red stag was, but remember all the stories and Waddell telling, funny jokes in camp and, all the other things that go into it because I really want to open her eyes to what the sport's really about. There's so many more things, and I break it down into this. And of course, I guess the older you get, you start boiling things down into legacy, right? It's the anticipation of the hunt, it's the preparation of the hunt, it's the participation of the hunt, and then I wish I could make the last one rhyme, I can't. And then it's the memories of the hunt. It's retelling the story over and over. Like they're the 4 things that make a hunt. Like if you can't check if you didn't anticipate the hunt, you didn't go through, oh my God, what do I got to buy? What do I got to do? I got to get in shape. I got to go to the gym. Like all I got to talk to the outfitter. I got to look at the weather. And then obviously it's the participation and then it's the storytelling. If you can check all 4 of those boxes, you had a great hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you keep talking about like the culture and the experience. It's cool to hear you say that because obviously with the Hunt Masters TV show, you see that come through, you know what I mean? And it's more that like Anthony Bourdain style, which I've always been akin to. I've always liked, he was so good at telling the stories and the people surrounding it. It's not just a specific event like the harvest of the animal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's a great analogy, right? It's just not how good the food tasted. It's what went into the preparation and how the culture created the cuisine and all those other things. And I think when you step back and really understand that, you get a better a better feeling for it. And, I'm watching a lot of these young kids come up, maybe because my daughters are all in their 20s now, right? So they're that group of 20-year-olds, and they're forming their own culture, and I like it. Right, I like to tease them as they hunt out of a saddle. And, right, they got to have their own style and their own way of doing things, and they got to make sure that they are color coordinated on their bow. Right, I got to have blue strings, and I got to have blue harmonic dampeners that match my white veins. But hey, however they want to make it their own, that's fantastic. I love it.
I'm not gonna lie, I've always color coordinated, if you can say that, my camo, as far as my camo patterns. Like, I can't do a top and a bottom with a different pattern.
Oh,
I don't
can't
know.
you?
My dad, like, is an anal accountant, and he's always, like, made sure his outfits always look good and everything. So, like, and then starting the TV thing, you want to make sure the backpack zip don't have any pockets that look funny or an elephant ear, right? So then the camo, the top and bottom, like, it's all got to be the same pattern. Or I'm like, I can't do it, even when I'm not filming.
Yeah. And then we go back to Jim Shockey, who wears socks on his hands.
Yeah.
who has wrist gaiters? Like,
yeah.
but yeah, it's that's the fun part about what we see. But you're starting to see this generation turn. So these 20 and 30-year-olds now, that was us back in the day, just doing things different. And I'm glad to see social media, like, they have their own way of communicating, and I'm really, really pro social media and digital content, because that's the way they communicate, just like these podcasts, right? It's super important that we evolve in how we share the experience.
Yeah, the podcasts are interesting. You bring guests on to convey what their opinions are, what they've learned, and then of course you put clips on social media, and
Get
inevitably
roasted.
somebody's going to roast you over it because they don't like what you think. But you know what? We're all entitled to our opinions, and it's a form of journalism. We discussed it with Dan Johnson when I was like, look, when I bring a guest on, it's not for me to tell them what their opinion should be or how they should do stuff. I brought them on so I could hear what they've learned or how they approach things. Like,
right. And there's no right and there's no wrong. And I think that's somehow we got skewed along the way, where we created controversy, in the hunting community. I mean, hey, if you want to go hunt with a recurve bow, great, love you, go do it, right? But if you want to go, shoot a Matthews bow and put an HHA sight on it, and you want to run a 12-inch stabilizer, and you want to go shoot at 82 yards, and you're capable of it, send it, right? Because you've developed that skill, right? You went to the TAC challenges and you developed that. Like, that's fantastic. Who am I to say that you can or can't do something?
yeah. I'm waiting for Graham to tell me he wants to get a 90-pound bow now. Like,
well, he looked like he's strong enough. He could pull it back.
He's only saying that because he know I'd actually be able to pull it back.
Yeah.
But I also know you would talk it up in your head like, yeah, dude, this is going to be sick. Like, oh, yeah, my bow's definitely better.
I'm happy at 76. I'll take that. It's shooting a heavy enough arrow fast enough, and I'm able to hit a circle. So
you're used to speed coming out of your hands. Not me. I'm too dainty for that. But, well, guys, do you have any other questions?
Graham, anything?
I mean, I feel like everything that was getting brought up was everything
You had to
kind of, like I had to just kind of sit. For one, I'm in this house that I just moved into yesterday, and it's pretty noisy in the room that I had to do this in. So I kind of just sat on mute there and was just like soaking everything in. I mean,
Yeah. Thanks for all the Thompson Center information. I was excited to hear about that, dude.
Hey, I appreciate all the support over the years. It's kind of cool to hear you guys, had the impact muzzleloader and the venture rifle, and had a legacy with the brand, because we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and and the fact that you guys are living the lifestyle, right, and celebrating it, and communicating and getting people fired up to go in the season. I mean, the one big thing that I've seen change in hunting since I got into it is now it's a year-round passion for people, right? Whether you go from duck season to turkey season to shooting targets to early velvet scouting, whatever, or people are shed hunting and managing food plots and managing ground. Like, it's no longer a seasonal sport. Like when the people who got us into the sport, our dad and grandfathers and that age class of baby boomers, it was more seasonal, right? They would hunt really hard and then they wouldn't hunt, right? They would go fishing or golfing or something. I think hunting now has become more of a lifestyle, and it's just cool to hear people, engage in it on a year-round basis.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. So I told you about that crawfish boil. Graham has some of his teammates out. Like they usually have one off day during season. He'll have some of his teammates out and we'll turkey hunt with a few of them that morning, and then they're all there and we shoot guns in the afternoon and everything. To me, I really enjoy that experience, like you said, because it's getting new people into the sport, whether it's shooting or hunting. Like to see the look on their faces, especially at the gun range, like there'll be 20 of them and they're there for 3 hours. They won't leave. Yeah. Just to see the look on the faces to get to do something they've never done before is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's it's interesting. We're not gonna go down the rabbit hole here, but I used to have one of the most productive crawfish farms in the United States at one time. And
really?
Yep. Ritz Crawfish Company. Yep. I had over 2,000.
Is there anything you haven't been in?
Yeah,
seriously.
You know what? I learned to manage it like I did whitetails, right? And food cover water, and so there's nothing like a good crawfish boil.
I'm going to be there eating the crawfish thinking food cover water.
It is, right? It's just, right, you got to give them a place to hide, you got to give them a place to reproduce, right? You got to give them good fresh water to live with a lot of good oxygen in it. So I guess it comes down to us the same way, right?
Yep. So...
Well, so guys, I certainly appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun, and let's do this again maybe after the season. We'll tell some hunting stories.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate
Thanks,
it, buddy.
Greg.
All right, guys. Yep, take care.
Appreciate having you on, Greg. Have a good one.
See ya. Bye.